This machine kills
fascists.
You're trying to marry your cousin.
Oh my god. Alright, well, that's a good place to bring it in. Mike, we've got a full... We have a full docket on the schedule today.
Yes, we do.
I came with an iPhone pad full of notes.
Well, we should
But
start
first-
by saying hello.
Hello.
Welcome to Hot Little Takes. I'm
Hot
Mike.
I'm Christian. Huddle up.
Still reporting from hell. This is our first episode after the election. And
That's
after
true.
our election predictions.
That's
which
true.
were not entirely correct, but
We were close.
we figured that Trump would throw a fit.
We were right.
Yep. I think anyone with half a brain knew that was coming.
We knew that the weeks following were going to be the problem. And here we are in the problem.
In the problem. Yep. Waiting on those stimulus checks. Waiting for that government shutdown.
Yep.
Neither of which seem like they're going to be coming.
Neither one of those are coming. But for God's sake, Mike, let us sit on the ground and tell sad stories of the death of kings.
Yes, the hallowed halls.
We're recording this on a Saturday. This is about a week after the passing of one Alex Trebek, who meant more on a day-to-day level, I think, than just about any person outside of the news anchors that people appreciate.
Yeah, he's on the kind of Mount Rushmore of television that connected with all of us, like Mr. Rogers or Bob Ross or something like that.
And he's been a huge part of our relationship, our friendship, and I think that we've seen all the stories that have flown around for the last couple days, and it's pretty much everyone is echoing everybody. It's like, this was the one show that I could always watch with my parents, and I watched every day for 20 years. You watch the local news. And
I always watch this with my grandma.
And now I watch it at work every night. Like, it's...
Yep. And I always, we were talking about this the other day, just how, trivia culture is such an established thing now that, there's literally companies that are like the Uber for trivia,
Right, yeah, there's no geeks who drink without Jeopardy.
I didn't want to say it out loud.
Sure.
Because I don't think they deserve the...
Yeah, fuck geeks who drink.
Yeah.
Support your independent trivia.
Yeah, it's not hard to be an independent trivia person.
Yeah.
There are websites and stuff where you can just look up quizzes.
Maybe you're just really smart.
Yeah, or maybe you know all that shit.
Just like Alex.
Yeah. Alex, man, guy would show up early, fact check, go over his phonetic alphabet so he never mispronounced a goddamn thing.
The work that guy put in, I mean, it is so clear, and we tried to record this podcast a couple days ago and our batteries died. But the work paid off in that this was the most important institution in American culture that actually celebrated knowledge.
Yeah.
You can't even look at the university systems and think that.
Public libraries.
Other than public libraries.
In terms of accessibility.
Yeah.
And making learning cool.
Yeah.
And making it seem not like an intimidating, impossible thing.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be a category that you'll get your category and you'll be aces on it because everybody knows about something. That's a cool Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences type thing where everybody's got somebody's got spatial intelligence and somebody else has mathematical intelligence and somebody else has nature intelligence, whatever, animal intelligence, emotional. People have different skills and that should be celebrated, It's
Absolutely.
like Moneyball. That's how you make a team that gets bases.
Yeah, totally. You buy runs. And to be a Jeopardy champion, you have to be a man for all seasons, which I think is something that Alex kind of embodied. Because he was so wholesome and wonderful, but he would also talk about drinking, and we've seen all these clips flying around of him swearing on the outtakes and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I mean, he's a Canadian Leo like me, and I really love him.
He's a Leo?
He's a Leo.
He also studied philosophy, which is the reason I love him.
Yeah.
Which a rare case of somebody really succeeding with that background. He studied broadcasting too, but...
Sure. And I don't really know how to eulogize him other than just the sentimental. I'm going to miss his presence so much. It was kind of weird this week watching the episodes that they had obviously taped a couple weeks ago.
Sure.
Knowing
no,
now
they
that...
taped all of these. They've taped enough to go through. We're going to be watching it on Christmas.
And I think
we'll talk about that.
And I think those last ones that he filmed were like 3 weeks ago, or something like that.
Sure.
Like they really weren't that long ago.
You know, I love to know that he got to see Trump lose.
Yeah.
But it's also like God's sick sense of humor to be like, oh, you all got to have a day of a day of rejoicing.
It literally was like an 18-hour period before I woke up and saw the news that
it was like someone did like a leg sweep on me.
Yeah.
You know, I just like hit the ground and I was like, God damn it, like I held it together all day at work and then like walking back to my car, I was like, I'm so sad about Alex Trebek.
Yeah, man.
Like went home, got misty, you know. People are texting. I was going, I'm really sad about Alex Trebek, man.
It's affecting.
It doesn't happen to me that often with, you know, this kind of thing.
No, I can like count the celebrity deaths that like really affected me on like one hand probably, and this is the one that will come to mind first from now on.
And we've been anticipating this, you know, but it's been a struggle knowing he has cancer, but also just seeing how he's handled it, you know.
So
Chadwick
inspiring.
Boseman levels of like, I'm gonna go out with dignity and you know, inspiring people. God damn.
I know.
We usually don't get this schmaltzy on.
I mean, you're sort of at a loss for words because it just is. It's like someone's not going to be around the dinner table.
Right. Yeah, because Alex was around so many people's dinner tables.
Yeah, like quite literally.
Yeah, we often just turn on Jeopardy when we're eating. You know, if we're not in the mood to do family chatting and stuff like that. It's like, all right, let's just watch. My mom will have like yesterday's episode TiVoed and she hasn't watched it yet. Thank God. All right. Because it's no fun to watch it with someone who's already watched it.
Oh yeah, that's
true. The great thing about that show is you can go back 20 years.
Same show.
Same shit. You know.
It has
I'm sure there's a few facts that have changed over time. You know, maybe some science is a good thing at updating itself generally.
Right.
You know, stuff like that.
Right. But I mean, even just down to the like mechanics of the show, the kind of soundscape is the same. The color palettes have changed a little bit here and there, but the 80s episodes are obviously a little more. Yeah, they're a little more like stained glass.
Coke influence.
Cokey, yeah. Now it's like Zoloft.
Now it's slicker, yeah.
and
now it's an institution.
Yeah, and I know that isn't going to change, and I guess we can use this to segue.
Yeah, we should go to that list.
I know that the show isn't going to change, and like Alex would say, like the show does all the work, which is obviously the selfless thing of him to say.
Yeah, like we said, he would also show up early, do fact checks, learn the phonetic alphabet. He would he'd do Q&As with the audience, you know, all the time. I mean, I'm sure he answered the same fucking questions over and over again and just was happy to do it because...
Yeah, and I think he clearly was.
He's like, I am the host, you're in my house, my job is to make you feel comfortable, you know, and really embodied that spirit of being a host.
Yeah. So what we want to talk about now, and this will maybe perk us up a little bit more.
Well, at least this will be funny.
So the obvious question that I know the people at CBS like are not in any rush to figure this out, and I don't think anyone's.
I think they might have already figured.
I'm sure. Yeah, I bet that.
I think this was figured out already.
And we're obviously talking about who the next host of the show is going to be.
Yeah, how can you replace
those
that giant Canadian shoes?
Right.
I don't know what makes them Canadian shoes, but you know.
I'd love to find out that like all of his clothes were from like this tiny Ontario tailor.
I would love to find out that his tailor's like, I had to really widen the inseam on one side because this guy was just swinging such a massive hog down the street.
The man had joie de vivre. I mean,
joie de vivre.
It doesn't come from nothing.
Yeah, it comes from having a giant hog.
So
I mean, the man's brain was a hog.
Okay, so we got so we have the Vegas odds for who the next host might be, but before we do any of that, I mean, we're on the record on this podcast of already saying that we think that there's no better person who could step in than Ken Jennings.
Yeah.
He's been on more episodes than anyone else. He has kind of the most iconic presence of any contestant. He's won the most money, and he just won the GOAT. And he's the GOAT.
He is the GOAT. Yeah. I think we talked about how it almost seemed like whoever won that, like they should have set it up like whoever won that is going to be the next host of Jeopardy.
And Alex holds his hand up like fucking Rocky in the center of the ring.
Exactly.
I do wish that had happened.
Yeah, because we talked about how James just doesn't have the stage presence, and nobody really knows who poor Edith is or whatever.
Yeah, no one cares, and he I don't think that guy would have liked it either. I'm sure that he has some weird consulting job that he's like, I couldn't leave this. Ken's the only person who it's like, I became who I am a second time. Like he seems like a guy who was reborn.
Well, and it also
new baptized by Trebek and Jeopardy.
Like from the moment he became established as like a figure associated with the brand. Mm-hmm. When he had his run. I mean, I don't know if some people remember what that was like. Like his run on Jeopardy was crazy, and it was the first time I think anyone had really done that.
Oh man,
like that. I mean,
and I was
until James came around. But it was different. Different type of game.
Well, and it was
Ken just knows the answers.
Yes,
he wasn't playing the odds. He just knows everything.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
And that was a different time too. Because what was that? 2003,
2005,
2002,
2004. Yeah, something like that.
It was in a much simpler America, so I think that could captivate the imagination of the country a little bit more than it did when James went on his streak. Even though we obviously got pretty excited when it happened.
Sure.
So
it was just different energy.
So we're here for Ken getting the appointment.
Yes, he's earned it.
I think he could be really funny.
It's I think he'd get the hang of it, and probably grow into it really well.
Yeah, once he grays and he like puts on some circle glasses.
Oh my god. He's gonna look like Atticus Finch.
Oh yeah, man. Totally.
Oh my god.
So he's the significant Vegas favorite right now at plus 100. So I mean, you can still get a profit on Ken, but I mean, like
it'll be an emotional one because you're happy that that's the right choice. That's the profit.
Yes. So after Ken, the list just kind of breaks wide the fuck open.
The article that was being shared was LeVar Burton, which I think is like.
Do we want to talk about this?
Well, here's what I'd saved for you is I was gonna do my.
Oh, that's right. You have it. Yeah.
What was it now? I have to remember.
It's people who don't fucking watch Jeopardy that think LeVar Burton should host Jeopardy.
It'd be like LeVar Burton being like, "What?" I can't even do it.
You're gonna
just
cut all this. Do your Star Trek impression, or
I was gonna do my Reading Rainbow, but I forgot like what the setup was. Like I had a thing like 2 days ago when we were gonna record this that was like.
Oh, you had a good joke?
Yeah, or it was like the Jeopardy answer.
Okay,
but
well,
like read as reading. Just imagine LeVar Burton in his Reading Rainbow voice doing a typical Jeopardy question. Like that's pretty funny.
If at any point in the night that joke
but it would be
if that comes back to you,
I think everyone out there can make their own version of it.
Yeah, send us your versions of LeVar Burton hosting Jeopardy.
The answer is
so LeVar is at plus 500, not bad odds. He's right next to one George Stephanopoulos, who's also plus 500, and if that happens, I'm gonna I don't know.
I think a lot of these are totally inappropriate.
A lot of these are totally inappropriate.
What the fuck would... I mean, Alex's background is in broadcasting and philosophy. You're going to have a hard time finding that. But...
Right. And there are some of those people. So do you want some of those people that are on this list?
Yeah, let's just jump around. Give me whatever.
Jon Stewart's on this list.
That was the one that I thought
4,000.
was cool.
But I think that he hasn't... I think that he's going to have a new show coming out on Apple. I think I heard that somewhere.
He should do something.
Wolf Blitzer's on this at plus 28,000.
That's like a punchline.
Plus 2,800. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know, Google Wolf Blitzer getting his ass beat by Andy Richter on Celebrity Jeopardy.
It is amazing, and because Andy Richter,
bullshit.
A smart cat.
Yeah, and
people are smart.
He bullshit is winning like 43,000 to negative. Like 350
Wolf
or like
Blitzer
negative 3,500.
is like, what is a cat? And they're like, no, Wolf, that's a dog. Like, he's a fucking idiot. Like, his whole career is, like, having a beard and, like, hiding behind it and being like, my name's Wolf. I'm on the spot.
James is plus 25,000, just for the record. Katie Couric is on this list at plus 20,000 or plus 2,000.
I don't know what she's doing there. I saw Piers Morgan. I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Nobody wants Piers Morgan. Nobody wants a British guy to take over Jeopardy.
I will lose my fucking mind.
All right. I love you, Brits, but this is an American institution.
Yes, it is.
You know, we're not going to go...
I've also never seen a British dude play.
We're not going to go buy corgis and wear a crown and, you know, walk into your house.
Piers Morgan's a fucking douchebag.
He is a fucking
Go
douchebag.
U.S. women's soccer. It was so sick when they beat England, and he just, like, wept tears on Twitter. Howie Mandel is on this at plus 4,000. Hate that. Jane Lynch is also on the list of I will lose my fucking mind.
I think a lot of these I just would hate. I think everybody would generally reject a lot of these.
Al Michaels is on this list at plus 66,000. No, just 6,600. Al Michaels is the... he does like Monday Night Football and stuff.
Sure, okay.
And he always he
talks
about the gambling, the money lines and the over-unders all the time, so I think he's funny for that. The real star on the list to me, and we already talked about this, is at plus 6,600, Rosie Perez.
I would love it if it were Rosie Perez.
So, okay, and here's
Rosie Perez, Jon Stewart, and Andy Richter are the only ones that would make me happy, I think.
Richter's not even on this list, but it's like...
Andy Richter would be great at it.
Oh, yeah, he really would be.
But so would Rosie Perez. Especially now.
Yeah. So here's what I can kind of see.
Oh my god,
Rosie would be so good!
Rosie, you gotta call your agent.
Yeah.
You gotta get on it. Or at least, you know, it'd be fun if they did have, like, guest, you know, hosts the way that... You know, old Tonight Show, Steve Martin's hosting or whatever.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is that I bet before you see the new permanent host, you see kind of a...
auditions.
You see kind of a rotating
If you
door.
like tonight's host, text 1 to Jeopardy.
I doubt that they'll do that, but I'm sure that they'll get a bunch of like the people who are on this list out of there. Like,
sure.
Like I can totally see Al Michaels hosting for one night, Neil deGrasse Tyson hosting for one night.
Sure. I can see a lot of
Because these are a lot of people that like come up in the video categories.
Yes.
You know, which I always hate because it takes up more time.
Is that your least favorite part of the show?
Yes.
The video categories?
Not always, but when it's a celebrity, yes, because then they're ads and they like just like I say in my new book, I blah 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 blah, and those kind of drive me nuts.
Sure, or they'll be like on a cruise line the whole time.
Yeah, but if it's like one of the weird Jeopardy research assistants and they're like, we're in Mykonos and blah blah.
Yeah, they're like, we're in an active volcano. Right?
Yeah,
those are cool.
Those are cool.
I hate the interviews where Alex is like, so I understand that you have a fucking boring, stupid story that you're about to act like anybody gives a fuck about. Let me do this 3 times in a row. All right.
I think that they're good. They're good when someone's been winning. I like when he is asking someone like their 4th or 5th question.
What would your story be?
Oh my god, I've never thought about it.
What's a crazy thing that happened to you one time?
I don't know if it could be anything I share on Jeopardy, but I would try to tell Alex.
Well, the kinds of stories they tell.
I'm sure. Well, because he brings up people's occupation a lot, and he.
So I understand that you were compared to the lead in Twilight when you were younger. That's right, Alex.
That's right, Alex. At my 24th birthday, I was actually at a beer festival near my apartment downtown, and my friend was taking a picture of me and another friend. And while we did that, this drunk girl ran in front of us, got on one knee, and screamed, "Team Edward!"
Oh, I guess she must have not been a Team Jacob fan then.
No, not the first time it happened to me either, Alex.
All right, great story. Moving on.
And that's like in the long category, and that's going to leave a couple questions on the board, and that drives me crazy.
Yes, I'm like, pick it up. We got to move this along. Ask me, so I understand that you went to...
Don't tell me what to ask you.
No, you gotta set me up. Say, I understand you had an interesting experience at a zoo.
Is it right that you had an interesting experience At a zoo?
That's right, Alex. When I was a kid, we went to the zoo in Bismarck when we were visiting my grandmother on my mother's side, and we witnessed a camel give birth.
North Dakota. Moving on.
The only camel that had ever been in North Dakota. Until that second one showed up. Alright.
Well, I mean, I guess that's the Jeopardy segment. I never want to leave it, because...
I know, we could talk about Jeopardy for days. Maybe we should just do another separate podcast.
That's a separate one, maybe. But before
we want to put.
Oh, that's right. This is how we have a whole thing, you guys. Mike and I are starting. We've talked for a long time about a Mount Rushmore or a Hall of Champions.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore feels a little too
taken.
Well, and a little too like.
Ugh.
Ugh. You know. Whatever. But yeah, Hall of Fame. You know.
Yeah, and as everyone knows, we like farm animals. We talk hogs.
Types of cows are always
always
a good subject.
And we love a goat, and Alex is a goat, and we'd like to welcome today as the first inductee,
the seminal
Goat Patch.
Member of the Goat Patch.
Here we are, baby.
We salute you.
I'm gonna put some joke sounds and shit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We're having fun.
Hell yeah, the Goat Patch.
Yeah. So we'll start. We'll probably backtrack and do a whole Goat Patch ceremony where we bring in 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, we know some people we've mentioned on this show many times that we're fans of that, should become inductees.
Absolutely.
But nobody deserves the honor of being the first more than Alex.
More than that. No.
So we just put a little picture of him on the wall for all of you listening. There it is. Yeah.
Do we want to? So we're gonna induct 2 people to the Goat Patch tonight. Do you want to talk this now, or do you want to take a break?
Up to you.
Not helpful. Let's do it now.
Okay.
Let's do it now. I'll cut all that stuff. So we're gonna bring in a second member of the Goat Patch right now.
Yeah.
We didn't really plan the way we were gonna do this ceremony. It's really off the cuff.
Yeah, I mean, as far as ceremonies goes, we hung up the picture.
What else do you want us to
There
do?
it is.
I got the goat sounds.
Yeah, I'll hang up the second one.
So,
There.
how do we want to talk about this? So the next, with no further ado, the next inductee to the Goat Patch is one David Chappelle.
The great Dave Chappelle.
The great Dave Chappelle, who since he hosted SNL last Saturday, I've had just a wonderful reconnection with. Because when did the stand-up specials come out? 2 years ago? I guess he had one. I guess he had one last year.
I think one every year.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he made a deal to make like 3 or 4 or something with Netflix.
So it's been good to have him mostly back, and the Letterman thing came out recently.
But yeah, rewatching the show,
Getting to rewatch Chappelle's show,
which was such a big fucking deal when it came out.
it shaped like my entire personality when I was 13 years old.
Yeah, I think it shaped like our entire generation's sense of humor.
Absolutely.
And sense of like art as social justice a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, he's like never been shy about.
I mean, the episodes are so crazy to watch right now because they really feel. I mean, they feel so much more prescient than any sketch you might see on Saturday Night Live, which we can talk about his SNL job last week too, where he called the show out pretty much directly for that.
Oh, for not being funny?
Yeah,
and for
being trying to be a woke fest.
Getting too offended and stuff.
Right, and the Chappelle show was like a woke fest if you had a fucking clue.
That's the issue with it, where I see like people who like some of his stand-up specials are like, see, Chappelle agrees with us right-wingers that people should stop being snowflakes and we should be able to make racist jokes and stuff. And it's kind of the same mentality of like, we used to have Blazing Saddles and we could make these kind of jokes, and now snowflakes can't handle it. And you're like, Blazing Saddles was written by Mel Brooks and Richard Pryor. Like, it wasn't written in a vacuum.
Yeah, it wasn't written in spite of the black
It was,
characters.
yeah, like, it's very self-aware, and that's, like, you don't have a sense of satire, about this stuff.
Yeah.
And Chappelle's shit was always, like, really laden with that, and that was part of the reason he left, is he was like,
Yeah, it's part of the reason
Am
he
I-
left the fucking country.
yeah, he was like, am I encouraging stereotypes more than I'm taking them down?
Yeah.
And which is a totally legit dilemma for a guy like him to find himself in.
Yeah, I mean, when you're at the level that show is at,
And people just aren't smart enough to know that you aren't an actually fucking racist or whatever.
He's a fucking icon.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's a fucking icon.
I think he's like one of the greatest comedians, maybe the greatest comedian of Gen X.
Wow. I guess, looking back at it, yeah. Because who else hasn't turned into just, like...
I mean, I'd say
pile of leaves.
a couple of the other guys who were in the running are like guys
Spade.
who passed away, like
Sure.
Hedberg and
I think we've eulogized Hedberg.
Bill Hicks was probably a little older, but
Yeah, he's older.
they probably still qualify as the same generation, even though that shit's all made up. But yeah, Chappelle's,
It's the... Okay.
got few equals.
Yeah, and going back to what... I was telling you this before we started. I have not, like, fucking laughed out loud as hard as frequently as I have rewatching the Chappelle. I just finished the second season last night. Like, I've pretty much just, like, freebased the whole thing as quick as I could.
Sure.
And it fucking kills me. That's the baddest motherfucker I ever seen in my life!
Dude, just the, like... And what's so funny is, like, the production quality of those skits is, like, not always...
It's shit sometimes.
Yeah, that's not where the value is. Like,
I just watched the one last night where he shows the sketches that they, like, kind of abandoned. Because he's like, these just fell apart, and here's just, like, random, like, the Nelson Mandela boot camp, where he's like, and we have, like, an 8-minute sequence of Nelson Mandela just kicking the shit out of these teenagers. And you can see, like, the crummy way that they light it sometimes, and, like...
Well, they were clearly, like, having fun filming
Yeah.
and making themselves laugh.
Well, and they were making that show, like, on the week, because I should look up what the production was exactly.
I think...
But, like, through the course of the second season, he'll be like, people yell at me in the street the lines from the show, so clearly things have aired.
I think that all the sketches are filmed before the season, and then he's doing the live...
Doing the live thing.
stuff
Yeah, that's
every
true.
week.
That's
Because
true.
I think he'd do, like, some stand-up and stuff for that house.
Yeah.
It was a really clever kind of move back then, too, watching it, seeing how they wouldn't have to film the first half of a sketch that was a setup a lot of times, because he'd just go out there and be like, all right, here's the setup, now let's show you the punchline.
Right.
And it's just some ridiculous, funny shit that they, like, had fun filming and, seemed totally inappropriate, basically. And, like, let's see if we can get away with this. And it was the same kind of era that South Park was blowing up.
Yes.
So Comedy Central was, like, boundary pushing.
We
stuff
talked about this, too,
going
about how we
on.
kind of want the book on Comedy Central and the whole story of that network, because I'd be fascinated to
Sure.
know. Because this was also, we talked about this was
Like the Rolling Stones history.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
vibe.
And, like, this was a Not My Bush show, which I don't know who remembers the weird George Bush parody sitcom.
Yeah, that it was, like, it came out, like...
In his first term.
Yeah, like...
I think. Maybe it was the second.
within a year of 9/11 Iraq war shenanigans. Well, I guess it took a little minute.
I think it was a little later than that.
to pick up.
But what the fuck? I think that's insane. Why didn't someone do that during the Trump administration? That would have been a great idea.
It's too obvious and too easy.
Yeah,
I did
yes.
tell you. Did you watch that thing I sent you? The South Park guys have a thing on YouTube now.
The deepfake show.
It's a bunch of deep fake, like, comedy
It's
sketches,
so crazy
and it's
looking.
hosted by Donald Trump's face, being this, like, he's like, sassy, I'm sassy, and he's got, like, a weird little wig, but it's just Donald Trump's face, deep faked, and he's like a news guy, and then they'll cut to, like, there's, like, a dialysis machine ads that look like they're, used car salesman kind of shit, and it's
Yeah.
like Mark Zuckerberg being like, "Come on down, get your dialysis machines."
Those guys are fucking
like,
G's.
it's fucking great. I wish I could remember what it was called, but look it up. It's really great.
So, what are your favorite sketches?
Not
not in any ranking order, but what are the ones that...
I think like the best one of all time has probably got to be the Black White Supremacist.
sketch?
Like that's the first episode, and it just like blew it up.
It sets the fucking tone of the room.
Yeah,
It's a tone setter.
And then really the only one that really overshadows it, kind of in terms of like everyone's memories, I think, are the Charlie Murphy. The Rick James bitch was like Borat levels of quotability at that era. Like
That's what I
Chappelle
think
talks
people...
about going to like Disneyland. He's like, "Can I just go out with my kids without you people walking up to me and saying,
I'm Rick James, bitch."
He's like, "God damn it, dude.
Unity! It's called
Darkness."
Oh my god. Well,
Fuck your couch.
But also the Rick James sketch is the entire 20 minutes. Like that's like a short film that they do.
Yeah.
The
Prince one's not that long.
It's not as long, but when he kicks Rick James in his like little Kermit body.
Oh, he kicks him in the chest. I'm sorry, John.
Oh my god.
And then they just do a bunch of coke together and call it a night. Every single time they like fight, party. And then the cutting to the real Rick James is like the cherry.
It's
on that.
like it's incredible.
He's like, "Cocaine's a hell of a drug," or like, "That's just what me and Charlie used to do." Like, god damn. And to look at those two guys and you're like, Charlie Murphy looks about 20 years younger than Rick James.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he stopped doing so much fucking coke.
R.I.P. to Charlie Murphy as well.
Yeah. He talks about in the third season how thanks to that show, people don't just know him as Eddie's brother.
Eddie's brother, yeah.
He would have been great in Dolomite. He would have been somebody in that.
Damn.
He would have been craft services or something. I think he would have had a lot of roles that Terry Crews has gotten.
Sure. Maybe take some parts away from Craig Robinson.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like a mix of those vibes,
I don't know that guy. Just a little drive-by there.
Fair enough.
I had forgotten about the Trading Spouses sketch.
That
one's really funny. That one has
when
one
he's
of my...
like, "Do you mind if I pull my penis through the hole in my pajamas?" Titty residue. His white guy is so
funny.
Fucking funny.
The line that I had just completely forgotten about that was my fucking favorite in middle school is when when he's in the couples therapist office and the white woman leaves and he's like,
"All right, I'm gonna tell you right now, I ain't crazy. I don't need no psychiatrist. And if you ever tell anybody I've been in here, I'll fucking kill you."
It's confidential here, Leonard. I won't tell anyone. It's just between us.
Well, then confidentially, I am crazy. And I'll fucking kill you.
Well, it's been a while and...
he has that fucking Newport hanging out of his mouth the whole time.
Yeah, I like when he takes the kid down to the hood.
I'm like, get your ass out of the car.
The little fucking white kid.
Oh, fuck. The Player Haters Ball I watched the other day, and that one still makes me laugh.
Great.
And then the one that they just do where that's on the failed sketch episode where they tried to do a Player Haters Ball episode where they like travel through time, and it's like this really long sequence of them like kicking the shit out of Hitler and stuff.
That would have been, picture the 5th season of that show.
Right.
Where it's like, Player Haters in space.
Yeah, and it's,
like...
It's that show...
He got out just in time to like make himself a fucking legend.
Oh, yeah.
Where everyone's like, you were the #1 thing in the world.
It's
and
like
you like walk out on it. And then come back 20 years later as like down from the mountaintop, like Moses energy.
Yes! And it, and it had it back then, and this is another thing that we talked about before we started, was the musical guest that he brought in set the tone for that too. Having guys like Mos Def and Mose and Talib Kweli coming in together doing that piece that they do, the What Is Beef thing,
Yeah.
like really kind of shook me the other day, and I was like, man, I forgot how much this like formed the way that I wanted all hip hop to be when I was in middle
him
school.
and Mos Def just like
In the
driving
car,
around.
and he does the Umi Says thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Yeah.
And you know, it was
Well, and
crazy seeing the
Chappelle's
vintage Kanye
really
in there too with
associated
the backpack.
himself with that, like, do you remember when he did that big backyard like hip hop?
Yeah, the block
show?
party.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the block party thing.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
that was like kind of his comeback show
yeah.
after walking away. Like that was a big fucking deal.
That was a big
we were
fucking deal.
excited about
Yeah.
that. I think I was.
I'd like to rewatch that. I
2006,
haven't seen that since that came
2007.
out, I don't think.
Yeah, and there was like some stand up and stuff, but it was mostly like, you know, and now Erykah Badu and you know, that kind of thing. Like he put on like a fucking
Yeah.
like a bitchin' one night show.
Yeah. Having Mos Def around is always it's always gonna get a 2 thumbs up from me. Mos Def is so
Also,
fucking funny in the
a
racial draft
fucking
sketch.
Amazing actor.
He's so
The
good.
racial draft one is so funny. The black delegation.
Oh, wait a goddamn minute, Rondell.
I always am like, he needs to act more. He's so good in Hitchhiker's Guide.
Oh, so good. He's good. He's good in the Italian
Ford
job.
Prefect.
Yeah, he's great. He plays Chuck Berry in the Cadillac Records movie, and he's really good. He's great. More Mos Def, please.
Yes, please.
I'd put him in the patch too, but we'll come back around to that. Do you have anything else?
Also, more Chappelle playing.
More Chappelle, man.
You know, I know we talked before.
Oh, do you want to talk about the SNL sketches quick before we take a break?
Oh yeah, the monologue was great. It should have just been an hour and a half of that.
Him smoking. Also, when I watched that, I don't think I've ever seen him in a suit. That wasn't like in a sketch.
I hadn't thought of that.
It was really kind of like
his demeanor has like changed so much when watching those old ones when he's just kind of like skinny and goofy and
so
and happy, and it makes me think of like how happy I was 10 years ago,
Yeah.
and then how probably fucking cynical I'll be 10 years from now. Like his voice, I mean he's a heavy smoker, but the register of his
Yeah.
voice has changed so much. His physicality and his energy is just so much more focused and geared at like
Yeah, he's like
fuck this, fuck that.
He's like season 16 LeBron for sure.
Yeah, and man, the guy's still gonna be going. I mean, hopefully for a long time, like, cause we need guys like that right now.
Absolutely.
You know.
That was another thing that just all of this happening right now was like, oh my god, this is the voice of clarity that we needed was, you know,
Yeah, it's
Charlie
like-
Murphy. And
Yeah, I want Jon Stewart and Dave Chappelle to sit down and just like be mom and dad to America right now, and like, you know, Jon Stewart can be like, okay, I have some good news, and Chappelle can be like, but I have some fucking bad news.
But the
And,
rest
like,
of it
here's
is bad
what it
news.
is.
Yeah.
You know, and like, here's how we deal with this, America. Put on your fucking masks.
You like the Aunt Jemima sketch?
The Aunt Jemima was like a classic
Classic
Chappelle
Chappelle
show
sketch.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was the only one I liked.
It was
saw.
that was like some of the most hopeful I've ever felt in my life. Was like, oh my god, is this whole episode gonna be like this?
I think it was
And
like,
then it was
oh,
like,
it's time,
absolutely not.
It's time for the one yearly good SNL sketch.
Yeah. I don't know why.
That one was really funny.
I'm not
though.
sure why Alec Baldwin was in that sketch.
Oh, I almost didn't even remember that he was in that. I fucking I gotta love Keenan, man. The guys kept that show on the air for 10 years.
He's
But
been
his,
on for way longer
I
than
have
that.
so many nieces and
Nephews.
that shit killed me, man.
And the
Anytime I can be like busting out loud laughing.
yeah, it's been like a really surreal week in laughing out loud at things I'm watching. It's crazy.
Alone.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing too, like, because I think
Right.
everyone's tendency to it changes when
Well,
you're
fuck, we know
around
that, dude.
a crowd.
We've done plays to 3 people and plays to 500 people. And
Yeah,
the big houses just laugh more.
it's true.
It doesn't mean that you're any better, but
So
they
do the
laugh
drunk
a lot
ones.
more. Yeah, the drunk ones are too.
Big and drunk. That's how I like them.
If you have 4 drunk people in the audience for Troilus and Cressida, they're gonna fall asleep.
Yeah.
But if they're drunk, they're gonna love it.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's
Or someone will
if
throw
there's
up
60 of
everywhere.
them. That happened too, Alex. That's what I would tell him. That one time I was doing a play and someone threw up on stage.
And he goes, "Oh, one of the actors?" And you go, "No, one of the audience members." Well, that's no good. Well, you can't do much. You can't do much to plan for that, can you?
Mm-mm.
I would have loved to see Alex acting back in high school. Same with Dave Chappelle. What weird college plays were both of those guys in at some point or another? You know?
I'm sure that Trebek played Romeo at some point. I sent you that picture from that first
with that voice.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, Juliet. He's got that Robert Goulet vibe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start singing. I would love to see Alex doing some lounge lizard shit.
Oh yeah, I was flipping through his filmography the other day, and he's obviously played himself on the show in it's 20 movies or 30 movies or something like that, and I was like, no one ever thought to give him a couple lines as just another kind of guy.
He was always playing himself, man, because Jeopardy was such I sent you this Instagram video, and it was 7 videos. It was 10 minutes long or whatever. Just a dream sequence from the Golden Girls.
Oh yeah, that is so fucking funny.
And it made me laugh because the very first category
is cows.
Is cows, and it's just Betty White's character knows types of cows.
Amazing.
Which is an old warm-up we used to do.
Amazing stuff. I think we've talked about that twice.
Types of cows, man. Always funny.
Well, that's a nice place to take a break, getting back to the farm animals. I hope everyone enjoyed our first goat patch ceremony.
Yeah, just picture little Chappelle. Okay, we made you know how there's those pin the tail on the donkeys?
Yeah.
We made 2 of those, but they're goats, and they've got Alex and Chappelle's pictures pasted on them.
Just picture those guys as little cute little goats that live forever, just wrestling around this nice little patch. We give them all kinds of cool hay to eat.
But those 2 have some pretty interesting conversations about being goats.
That's so funny. They're like, wow, I'm really... At a certain point, they're like, is anyone else getting in here soon?
Yeah, we're going to add more goats.
Yeah, the goat patch is going to grow.
The goat patch is going to grow. Won't be just dudes either.
No.
You know, we'll run the gamut.
Yeah.
The living, the dead, the legends, the legends to be.
The clowns, the fools.
Yeah, the ones who will make you cry and break your heart.
But no dinguses.
Maybe a couple of dinguses.
Alright.
Maybe a couple.
I beat my dick like it owes me money.
Let's start the show.
So we're back. We started this episode with kings.
Yes.
We're gonna end with queens.
Hell yeah, the queen.
The queen, Beth Harmon, in your pawn section.
Greatest chess player to have ever graced the earth.
So we're talking Queen's Gambit. The show's been out for what, 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
3 weeks. It's the #1 show on Netflix around the world. If you haven't watched it, go watch it, because you should. It's good. If you have, you'll like listening to us talk about it anyway.
And it probably is the show of the year, right?
Yeah, it's gonna get some Emmys.
This is, High Fidelity, I had such a close relationship to, and I loved it so much. But this seems like it is not, no chess. This is playing the Italian. Is that what the defense?
Oh, the move.
Yeah.
I don't know all the damn defenses.
that's the one.
There's a lot of just hardcore chess stuff.
There is a lot of hardcore chess stuff, and that's one of the things.
If you are a big chess fan, this seems like a great show for you.
It's got to be crack.
Yeah, it's based off a book by the guy who wrote The Color of Money and other things.
Mm-hmm.
Came out in the 80s, and I know he was a Class C or whatever chess.
Classy.
Class C.
Class C.
Yeah, whatever that means.
He was a classy chess player.
He was he was a mediocre chess player, but
Sure.
good enough to write stories and know
the lingo enough to appease the
Fibonacci defense. It reminds me of in Princess Bride when they're sword fighting and they're like, I see you know Agrippe, and all.
Right. It's kind of sounds ridiculous to say, to be like, I like the chess part of it, because if you don't like the chess part of it, you're gonna fucking hate the show. But I love that it
makes it really exciting.
Yeah, well, and I think that's because it never talks down to you at all. like, I mean, even to the point that when the game is introduced, it's a really experienced player not talking down to a 9-year-old and being like, be better. So,
Yeah,
like,
he's
you rise up to where the show wants you to be. And I think that if you are into it, like, holy shit, that's got to be so good. Because the thing kind of feels like you imagine the people, there's that scene where they're playing that final, I think in Ohio or whatever, and the hipster cowboy chess master guy is like, the U.S. Open and all that shit, like thousands of people go to that, and like, who's here watching this? And it's like, those sad 30 people or whatever.
Sure.
But everything that, like, all of the drama going on between her and the other guys, and like, it's like a behind the music for chess stars.
Right.
It's like, how interesting is this match if you knew that she was getting her ass beat in speed chess all night last night and lost like $300 or whatever.
Well, and the fact that these are like, they're so young. You
Yeah.
know? Like, you're dealing with like
The age factor is
these
so
teenage
key.
prodigies who have plans to retire by the time they're 21.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking crazy.
Right. When you have, even guys like Borgoff or whatever is like a 4-year-old prodigy who's now in his 50s or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, and he's
someone who's just
like the most
just lived that
respected
life.
grandmaster in the world.
Yeah. Great fucking character.
Boss level, or like a classic sports, like, oh, you're gonna play this team again that you lost to the first time, kind of energy, and they became her allies and stuff.
That is one of the only parts of the show that I didn't love. I didn't love that it was constantly these, like, fucking weird skinny white boys coming back to be like, I can help you do this.
Yeah, they
That always
practice
kind
with
of,
her.
that bugged me a little
Then
bit.
she has sex with them. They get a little hung up on her. She's like,
Yeah.
nah, I just wanted to learn. I just came to learn.
I just came to win.
I just came to learn to win. Like,
that stuff, I understand why all that is there, but, like, I don't know.
well,
That's some 1983 shit.
yeah, it was written. Yeah, exactly.
You know.
And one of the things I told you is that I thought this story was going to deal with a little more, and I don't know how accurate it really is to how things would have been, but like, I know chess is like a notoriously sexist environment.
Right.
Like, it's a lot, which is pretty common when you're in a place where it's like guys who think they're the smartest guys in the room, like,
It's, yeah.
generally
Right.
are
You're getting 50 of them
are
together
generally
at once.
pretty toxic,
Yes.
toward women. But I know that a lot of like, people say like, why aren't there more chess grandmasters that are women? It's like, because they weren't allowed to play, or they would have been like so made to be so uncomfortable that
Right.
they wouldn't even want to
Well,
play.
there's that little cutaway in the final match between her and Borgoff at the, what is that? That's the World Open or something, or the Moscow Invitational or whatever that is.
The biggest in Russia.
And as she enters, it cuts to the woman who is the, like, Russian women's champion, but she's not allowed to play in that tournament because she's a Russian woman. It's like,
Right.
you can be an international female. But
Yeah, and that was interesting that they did have like nods to that, but I really feel like
I was gonna say, I mean, I think
I was
that there is a
expecting-
lot of masculine toxicity that's going through it. you
that's
know?
true. That's true.
Borgov's not great.
No, nobody's really great.
Yeah.
Nobody's really great. I mean, she's kind of like it's a great like story of like a genius or like someone. It's like an artist or something, or it's like when they're painting, everything's clear.
Everything goes quiet. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's her relationship with that game. It's like the positive solace as opposed to addiction stuff.
Addiction and abuse and substance abuse is something that when it's in TV and film, I have to hold it to a really high standard because I think sometimes it can get offensive and it can get like just such a false depiction of what it actually looks like.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I think that they do such a good job. I mean, obviously they set it up so well. You never cheer so hard. You'll never cheer so hard for a 9-year-old to go get her fucking meds.
Yeah.
As you will in this show.
And
But,
also like a precursor to, Ritalin babies kind of energy.
Totally.
But
they do a great job with her, and this is like a Don Draper thing kind of too. They do a really good job with her idle hours, and she's like, I do not know what else to do when I'm not playing the game.
Right.
Like, I have to find fucking something. That, you know, the way that Don's like, between having a genius idea on the fly and fucking somebody, I don't know who I am.
These are the things that I fill this hole with.
Yeah.
You know, it's that existential hole, and like, and you know, I think everybody does need to find valuable. You know, if your thing is going fishing or building a model train or whatever, like, find that
Sure.
solace in positive ways, you know, instead of like pounding rails on a Tuesday night or whatever, which just isn't as sustainable
Yeah.
of a situation.
I really love the touch of her drinking PBR Tall Boys.
Yeah. her alcoholism is so interesting because it's like something learned from her foster mother in a lot of ways.
Mariel Heller, the filmmaker who I have never seen act in a movie, I don't think.
Oh, she's a director?
Yes.
She's so good.
She's so fucking good in it.
She's so good in it.
And that, I mean, we're just kind of jumping all over the place with the show.
Well, okay, let's start with because her relationships with people kind of timestamp chapters of that. So the first major one is Bill Camp,
the way that you set me up for it, I thought that he was gonna kind of be in more of it, but he really is.
No, he's
spiritually in the entire thing.
He's the he's the god figure of the game for her. When she goes back to the school at the end, and sees all his stuff, like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And really completes that arc.
Yeah.
But,
well, and then when she when she's like walking away and the journalists catch her and she's like says the thing, I can't remember what they ask her, but she mentions his name again, and she's like, "And print that this time."
Yes,
because
she was mad.
The first article, she's like, "They don't mention this,"
and
they
you
don't
know that
mention this.
he got to he got to see that article and see that he had that impact, because like it is like when she's this little girl in this orphanage, like the two things that bring her solace are that her friend taught her how to save up all the lithium and trip.
Yeah.
And she's learning how to play this game from the janitor, who's like such a great, like, gruff, taciturn is the word.
Yeah, the taciturn teddy bear thing that he does so well.
He maybe utters like, you know, less than 50 words in that entire series.
Oh, totally.
You know?
But like deserves an Emmy nomination. For
yeah,
that.
every word counts.
Yeah, absolutely. That's well said.
The game is over. The game is over when you lose like that, or you know, when you resign the game, or that the energy he brings to that is so like. This is a work of art that you're watching. Yeah. You know, right away.
He's so good. The entire, because I wanted to talk about just the general like art direction of the entire thing is so choice throughout. Like every room that they're in is so meticulously, like wonderfully expressive, and like down to the props that are everywhere. I mean, like, and that's part of the PBR thing. Like, it looks fucking great. Right. It's something that we, you know, it evokes something in everybody who watched it.
The Mad Men, Miss Maisel attention to that era.
And this is the closest I've seen since Mad Men, I think, of like really nailing kind of a tangible 60s. Mrs. Maisel is still like a little...
Yeah, a little
is a little fabulous. You know, it's a little stylized. Mrs. America, I sometimes felt was like a little more stylized, even though I know a lot of Mad Men people worked on that show.
Sure. I'm sure that there's some scene consultant who's worked on all of these.
Yeah, probably. But even in like the way that things are lit, you know, like they seem to like use or at least imitate natural light in a completely different way that like makes it more fucking lonely when she's in that house by herself getting drunk all the time, and it just has a...
It's very dark.
It's so dark, and I
because
loved that.
The main image that I walked away with is my favorite shit was like her upside down chess games. Like, when she's on lithium, you know, that just carries through the entire thing, you know. I thought that was going to be like a one-time image, but like that's actually how she practices in her head. And they're like, you practice in your head, like you don't even need a board. Like, she's winning, she becomes like the state champion or whatever without ever owning a board. It's insane.
It's such a great... She is such a great lead character.
Yeah, what's her name again?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Anya Taylor-Joy.
Most people know her from The Witch.
Yeah, Yeah, that's the only thing I'd known her from, and she's great in that. Her energy is so different in this.
Yeah, she's gonna be her and the girl from Jojo Rabbit are gonna be the leads of the new Edgar Wright movie, which I think is the thing that got pushed back, called One Night in Soho or something like that. That's supposed to be like really dope.
Okay.
So
I like Edgar Wright.
So I think that she's gonna have like a moment now. I mean, shit, her performance is incredible.
Yeah, I can see her. I can see her winning the Emmy for this.
Me too.
I think she'll definitely get nominated.
I also love that they kind of styled her like Sylvia Plath a little bit. She's kind of like that dark red, but
Did they make a Sylvia Plath joke in it?
Do they make it?
Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I don't think I would have missed it if they did, but and Sylvia Plath is blonde, obviously, but they both have that similar. I don't know.
That bob or whatever.
Yeah, it's so good.
Her the evolution of her look is really interesting. Like
they also
character
cast the most
storytelling.
Amazing child actress.
Yeah, the little girl is really good.
Looks exactly fucking like her.
And she doesn't even show up till the second
episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of becoming self-actualized.
And a lot of that's the world around them too. You know, that she kind of moves through the '60s. When by the time she's doing like the under the eye eyeliner and stuff, you're like, okay, it's like 67 now.
It takes place over like 7 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And there's 6. We always talk about how much we want good miniseries based off a book.
Yeah. So 7 episodes.
There will be no season 2.
No.
I sure fucking hope there won't be.
Yeah, that would suck. That would really suck.
I mean,
they end that in an ending, I think.
The ending's really good.
I
like the last scene a lot. She loves chess. That's kind of the whole thing. She just loves chess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's cool, man.
And that's cool. And she's like, and that's the thing that I guess I was a little like kind of almost suspicious of, is how accepting everyone is of like, well, you're the best, you know?
Yeah.
And there's not as much pushback as I think there would be in real life, but like,
right.
She is the fucking best. Like, that's the thing.
I think my favorite two men that kind of cave to her greatness is the two guys who are running the booth at the first.
Oh, the twins?
The twins who were so rude to her, and then like when she starts winning are just like
they become her like like sidekicks.
Yeah,
those things.
I would have rather had them be like just by her side the whole time than
the multiple boyfriends.
Yeah, even though I love when she goes.
The cowboy guy.
I loved that character.
But the other guy I liked too was the
guy she beats.
Guy
in that
from
first
Harry Potter.
Is that who that is?
Yeah,
I was wondering
if that's who that was. Neville. Yeah. No, not Neville. The Weasley one.
I don't think that's who that is.
No, he was like the Dursley.
Oh, that's who it is.
Because he's the same one who's in Buster Scruggs.
Yes. Oh, that's right.
And
the Ozymandias.
Yeah, and he's really good. So I was excited.
That's right.
To see him show up. The other kid, the cowboy kid, was the Game of Thrones.
And he's the little kid from Love Actually, which I thought was really fun.
Yeah, so those are just like interesting, like, oh, we recognize those guys, but like,
don't know why. They
were kind of like they went from being like boss levels to being like boyfriend helpers. One after the other.
Yeah, just a couple of simps is really what they were.
I guess so.
I did like the sequence of her in New York.
She did have like affairs with them.
Yeah.
But then she was like, "We're done."
Yeah.
And they were like, okay.
And apparently with that French, quote unquote French girl in what
I forgot about this. Like I kind of completely forgot.
That character and that performance are so incorrect.
You were like, the show almost made it without a cliche, and then she has an affair with a lesbian or whatever.
Well,
or with a French woman.
Who's like this kind of like really shitty caricature of like a bohemian French girl living in the village or whatever, and it's just like just does not work.
The thing I think that did...
It reminds me of the criticism that they got on Mad Men about Megan being
was like
French, but she's Canadian.
That was like a sequence that I started like kind of maybe looking at my phone or tuning out, and then I got turned back into it because she was like, okay, I'll go out for one drink with you. And this is a thing, anyone who... I mean, I think some people have drinking issues can relate to is like one drink is not gonna happen, like it's hard to have just one drink.
Yeah.
So she goes to meet that girl, and she's got like her first game against the Russian the next morning.
It's her second game against him. But yeah.
Oh well, she shows up and is a fucking shit show.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's actually
that was a great sequence.
That's how the show. That's how the show starts.
She's all dehydrated and.
Yeah, that's how the show opens. Is with the scene of her waking up late for that and showing up to the.
Oh,
bar.
that's right.
And then
that was that was a cool sequence and kind of the excuse for the French girl a little bit in my mind, where I was like, okay, I'll let it slide because that was like, if you got to work in the morning, but a hot French girl asks you out for a drink, like, what are you gonna do?
Maybe if the performance were a little stronger, it might have worked.
Or just that character didn't pop in just for that.
Like
that character was only in that one episode, I think.
I think she might split it. She might run over into the second one.
She was buddies with the cowboy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks like one of these French girls on your wall.
No one looks like Bridget Bardot.
Well, ish.
What else? So, do you have any other take? That second half of the season was not as like breathtaking as the first 3 episodes, like up to her losing that first match against Borgoff and like her mother dying.
Yeah.
That's the best stuff.
Spoilers.
Then it's all kind of a sandwich, like a big Dagwood sandwich of like alcoholism, pill popping, chess matches.
Well, and the matches get less frequent a little bit.
Yeah.
Because she's like just playing the big tournaments and not just rising up the ladder.
Well, and I do like that it did, like you said, it wasn't like the heavy-handed arc of like you gotta get clean, but it was kind of like going hand in hand with like, if you want to keep rising up the ranks, you gotta get a handle on this stuff.
Yes.
And that was just kind of like implicit in her journey she was taking already. So it didn't take like this. I was kind of worried it was going to take this sharp turn of like, hey girl, we're taking you to AA now and we're going to rehab and like get you cleaned up. Like, I think at the end of that story, she still has like issues with addiction that aren't resolved because that shit doesn't really just get resolved. Like
no, it doesn't. That's not how it works at all.
Yeah. But she kind of gets a handle on it and becomes real good. You know?
Stays real good.
And still loves the game.
It's also worth noting that I think the guy's name is Scott Frank? Alan Frank? Something.
The writer?
Yeah. He wrote and directed the entire thing.
No, not the writer of the book.
No, him, but the guy who...
Yes, the guy who directed this whole series. He's been working on it
He has a couple of co-writers, and I'm sure that there was a writer's room or whatever, but he's got the credit for...
directing all of it.
And writing all of them.
Yeah, I think it's been something...
That doesn't happen a lot.
Well, I think it's been in development hell as a movie for a long time, and they kind of were like, here's the right way to do this, which is what we've talked about before. Take it... It's a novel. You can't do it in an hour and a half. You can do it in 6 episodes, though. And even that might have been a little long. I think I was, like, thinking... Because I watched it when it first came out, and I was like, they probably could have lost one of those and tightened it up.
In some places. But, I mean,
There's a reason it's #1 worldwide.
No, totally. And I was, and we talked about this the whole time that I was watching it. I have, like, not been this excited to, like, come home and get back to a show...
Yeah.
As I have in, like, a fucking long time.
It was funny, because we were supposed to record almost a week ago, and you were like, just started watching it, and you're like, you know what, let me watch this. Yeah. And then we'll record, and I was like, great. That's
and then we were going to record the next day, and I was like, no, I have to finish it.
Oh, well, you had, it was in the middle of your work week. I think it came out on one of my days off.
You like, freebased it, like, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, like, I started watching it, in the evening, and I was like, I'll watch a couple episodes of this, and I was up all goddamn night.
Yeah, I was really like furious to have to go to bed because I was like, God damn it, I want to watch more of this. But
yeah, and I hear the book is like that too, where it's like super.
It's clear. It's very
like engrossing, and you just want to keep going and know what happens.
Yeah, it's like fucking taking drinks, man. Like it,
Yeah, you get a little.
You just want more.
You get a little bump of that chess action. Man.
I do kind of wish that this had been released week to week because I think that it would have held up really well. And I kind of,
as far as the news cycle goes.
And I wish that I could have had it in my life for 2 months instead of 3 days.
I think I told you that I think if it came out week to week, it might not have gotten the attention that it has gotten, just because I think a lot of people just binge watched it. I know my mom did.
Yeah.
You know, I know a couple other people I've talked to.
My mother hasn't started it, and she's killing me. I'm like, calm the fuck on.
Get on it, mama.
You're gonna love this.
You're gonna like it.
Do you have any last thoughts on it? You want any last takes you want to fire off?
I just really want to see more adaptations like this.
Well, I have.
I kind of want to read this book. I think you and I should maybe do a book club on it.
I wouldn't mind.
I'd be curious.
Depending on how many pages it
or
is.
some of the maybe one of the.
I'd go over 350.
Maybe one of the other because it seems like he writes about pool or chess or cards or something.
Yeah, I've heard people speak
like
pretty
Aaron
fondly about
Sorkin-y
him. Sure.
kind of shit. I can see Molly's Game living in a similar universe to this,
So since we're way over fucking time. We've we've been talking a lot tonight, but
well, you asked me if I had anything else to say.
but to your last point, there is another show, and I know you've watched some of this. You can maybe fire off some takes. There is another show that is similar to this. That's a short episode order of a novel adaptation.
That's right.
That I've watched the first 3 episodes. Did you watch the first 2, or have you seen all?
Just
3?
the first 2. I should have watched that yesterday. I forgot about it.
That's okay. This is HBO's The Undoing.
Yeah, which I'm not crazy about the title, because just a show released last year called Undone that I was a big fan of. Very different.
We both really like that.
And I'm sure this
that was on both our top 5s.
Yeah, I'm sure this is just the title of the book, but still,
this is the
brand confusion.
Yeah, this is the David E. Kelly who did Big Little Lies.
Yep.
And what did he do in the night? Was he Beverly Hills or was he Melrose Place?
Oh no, he was Melrose, I think.
Or Party at 5.
I don't know.
That's not my era.
I don't know. Party at 5 is the only one of those I ever watched a little bit of, and I only remember Jennifer Hewitt. What's her name?
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Jennifer Love Hewitt would pull her sleeves up over her fingers, and girls are doing that now again.
Yes,
it's like a thing.
That's a big girl move.
I mean, I do that too.
So I have a couple notes on this, and just on the off chance that anyone who listens to this is watching this show, do you have any takes?
I am kind of curious where it's going.
Not the greatest review that you want to hear about your show. I am kind of curious where it's going.
I'm kind of on board.
But
I really wish Laura Dern or Reese Witherspoon would show up, because Nicole Kidman's just a little. It's a little slow on her own.
It's kind of funny. It's because it feels so much like Big Little Lies. It's just in Manhattan instead of Monterey.
Yeah, because Lily Rabe is doing
Reese Witherspoon.
Well, she's also doing Laura Dern. She's doing both.
She's doing all. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the person who was a junior on a mostly senior basketball team or something like that, and then they Reese and Zoe Kravitz and Laura Dern all go to college, and now Nicole Kidman's the old kid with all of the people who didn't get to play last year because the good people were there. Sure. And I love Lily Rabe, don't get me wrong, and I like Donald Sutherland and I like Hugh Grant, I guess.
It's kind of like that song that girl who was in Destiny's Child made with Nelly, who wasn't Beyonce.
Yes, Kelly Rowlands.
Yes. And I need you. Yeah, good song. Just
Not single ladies.
Yeah.
No.
Or
yeah, totally.
Bootylicious even.
Okay, so I just have one question for you about this show. Why the fuck does the media care so much about this murder? Does it not seem like a little much to you?
Yeah. It seems weird that weird that anyone would give a fuck.
Yeah, you're in New York City, people get murdered all the time.
Yeah, and people have affairs, and and
why are there 30
and people
reporters?
Kill their lovers.
Why are there 30 reporters outside of a fucking private elementary school?
Yeah, that was weird. Is
seems...
that on the newest one, or is that?
It's on the second one and the third one. The third one did not move things along until the very last second, and you're like, oh, there we go.
I was kind of pulled back in a couple times. I'd start to lose interest and then I get pulled back in.
Yeah, that happens to me too.
You know, so there'd be like this kind of seesaw of like, oh, that girl died. And then like 10 minutes of her like kind of just wandering around Central Park.
There's
like,
there's some dithering.
Like, do you remember the movie? And I guess it's just because maybe it's a redheaded woman that connects it. But there was a movie with Juliette Lewis, or not Juliette Lewis, Julianne Moore. She's like looking for her son, and her son's like missing, and like it's like a science fiction story. Like the government like took her son because he had like a plague or something, and everyone's like gaslighting her and being like, your son doesn't exist or whatever. And that's almost what this like energy was like, her running around and being like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
My husband is having an affair with this woman that I wanted to have an affair with.
Yeah,
You know.
you're right. And there's a little bit of like, man, you should have just fucking told them about how weird that chick was. Why didn't you just tell them that?
Yeah, I mean, she was clearly fucking weird.
Yeah.
But I wasn't expecting her just to get, like, murdered.
Murked.
Yeah.
The detective character kind of drives me crazy.
Yeah. Everyone's kind of like, It's funny. I thought it was kind of funny that Hugh Grant was such a horn dog, and then you're like, oh, he's a murderous horn dog. That's why that's why everything he
Also,
said was like, let me fuck you in the shower, baby. Like,
Isn't Hugh Grant isn't he sort of weird in this part?
yeah.
No one seems like the first choice.
I think Hugh Grant's trying to figure out what to do with his career.
Yeah.
He's weird in The Gentleman, too.
Oh, that's right. You just watched The Gentleman.
Yeah. He's like the one telling the story, but he's like sleazy little pervert.
Uh-huh.
He says lots of sexual stuff in that, too. And this is a guy who has a history. I think it's like a self-referential thing, because they're like, yeah, he got in trouble back in the 90s for picking up a prostitute.
That's right. And like, was it him or was it Matthew McConaughey that was like playing bongos naked with a prostitute?
That was McConaughey. That was McConaughey. It was like tripping balls playing bongos.
And who slept with the maid? Is that Jude Law?
Schwarzenegger did that. He knocked up his maid.
Jesus.
I mean, Eddie Murphy picked up a prostitute.
Henrik Gibson impregnated his maid.
There's a lot of these. I mean,
that's an old
how many?
tale.
What it was like the one guy who knocked up his maid and the one guy who got a prostitute. Like, come on. But it's almost like they're being self-aware with Hugh Grant doing that.
That's funny.
Which is kind of weird.
It is weird. Well, we'll watch the there'll be a new one out on Monday. Watch both of them.
Okay.
And we can keep talking about this. Not that I think it's gonna end well, but
I'm curious.
I'm curious. I need to know how the fuck it ends. Because
I'm
I'm pretty sure I know how it.
Do you want to make your prediction now?
I'm not the only person who's saying this. I think so.
Honestly, I think that's part of the reason I'm not more intrigued right now, is because they set up like no suspects to our knowledge as viewers. Like, there's nothing for me to be like
that's a good
making
point.
Predictions about. You know?
Yeah.
So
it happens very quickly.
when you say it's, well, that seems like the most obvious one. Sure, because like, who the fuck else would it be? Who else have we met in this?
Right.
Circle.
A couple of other white women.
Yeah.
It's also like the whitest show. Somehow makes Big Little. He makes Brian Gumble look like Malcolm X.
Yeah, it is painfully white, and it's also funny because they're both like not Americans. So at least when you're watching Big Little Lies, you're like, well, you know, Reese and Laura Dern, like they're
Homegrown.
fucking killing it.
Yeah,
Killing
Zoe.
it. Yeah.
Adam Scott.
And this is like, you know, okay, let's take it to New York. They're now instead of going to therapy, she's the therapist, and her husband's a doctor too. Oh, they're both very smart. But it's what it worked. It's like she's still being Celeste, because it's like
it feels
like
similar.
she's on fucking Zoloft or something. You know, I feel like Nicole Kidman is.
That makes me want to do a rewatch of Big Little Lies season 2.
And
which
be
is
like,
how we started this
she's
pod.
she's just high all the time. Like, she's like Johnny Depp smoking blunts on set.
Wow, tough weeks for Johnny Depp.
Oh yeah, well I guess. Yeah, he got fired from.
We're like doing the.
I mean, he got fired from J.K. Rowling shit. I think he's like, I happily fucking am walking away from this trash fire for our Patreon listeners.
Sure. So do you have anything else on The Undoing?
Change the title of the show.
Okay. So we're gonna call it there.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. Someone give us your Apple Plus login info.
Bada boom.
Bye, bitches.
R.I.P. Alex Trebek.
R.I.P. Tommy Heinsohn.
Yeah, and so is your own people. Sometimes it's your own people. Yeah.
Hell yeah, you did, yeah.
What's beef?
Hell yeah, you did, yeah.
That's beef.
Hell yeah, yeah. And
So is your own people. Sometimes it's your own people. Yo, beef is not what Jay said to Nas.
Come on,
Beef is when working niggas can't find jobs. So they trying to find niggas to rob. Trying to find bigger guns so they can finish the job.
Yeah.
Beef is when the crack kids can't find moms cause they in a pine box, a lock behind bars.
Yeah.
Beef ain't the summer jam for Hot 97. Beef is the cocaine and AIDS epidemic. Beef don't come with a radio edit.
Nope.
Beef is when the judge is calling you defendant. Beef, it come with a long jail sentence handed down to you in a few short minutes.
Yeah.
Beef is when your girl come through for a visit talking about I'm pregnant by some other nigga. Beef is high blood pressure and bad credit. Need a loan for your home and you too broke to get it. And all your little kids is doing is getting bigger. You're trying not to raise them around these wild niggas. Beef is when a gold digger got your seed in a manicured handout like pay me nigga. Or I'm telling your wife for starting up some foul rumor that'll ruin your life. Beef is when a gangster ain't doing it right, and other gangsters done decided what to do with his life. Beef is not what these famous niggas do on the mic. Beef is what George Bush would do in a fight.
That's right.
Beef is not what Josh said to 50. Beef is